Hi, everybody. Like Allie said, my name is Ashley Skidmore. I am from Ashland, Kentucky, and I was a student in the data analysis pathway. My background is in higher education, where I started as an English professor, and then during the pandemic shifted my work more over into institutional effectiveness, which is an area where I work with grants, I manage projects, and I contribute to reports. I chose to enroll in CodeU because the skills they teach in data analytics really dovetailed with the things that I already do in my current job. So I felt like it was a way to make me better at my current job, but also open doors for future opportunities. My current experience is also what led me to my capstone project. The college where I work started an associate degree program at a local correctional facility earlier this year, and I thought that it might be interesting to look into the data on incarcerated Kentuckians so that I could share insights with the college and our stakeholders. And so I have Prison to Profession, which explores educational gaps for incarcerated Kentuckians and how those relate to future employment opportunities. For this project, I looked at occupational outlook data from KY Stats and demographic and housing data from the Census Bureau's American Community Survey. I used Python and Pandas to explore and clean my data, and then I saved my clean data as tables in a SQLite database, which also allowed me to use SQL to merge them as needed for the visualizations I created in a variety of Python libraries. And when I was done, I decided to take 3 of my main plots and recreate them as a Tableau dashboard because I felt that that would be a better way to share with non-tech people what I had learned. In the plot on the left, you can see a comparison of the education achievements of incarcerated Kentuckians versus non-incarcerated Kentuckians. And this shows that if you are incarcerated in Kentucky, you are far less likely to have any sort of post-secondary credential. On the right, we take a look at employment, whether people have high demand, high wage jobs, both or neither. Again, we're comparing the two populations, incarcerated versus non-incarcerated, and you can see that if you're incarcerated, you are far less likely to have a high wage job. Interestingly, they have a lot of high demand jobs, but these are apparently jobs that don't pay very well. And we can bring these two insights together by looking at high wage, high demand jobs and what educational level they require as educational experience. And so in this heat map, you can see if a job is high wage, high demand, or both, and how many jobs are listed in the occupational outlook data for each educational level for these categories. One good piece of news for the college that I work at is that an associate's degree does fairly well, even on its own. If somebody were to complete an associate's degree with us and then in the future transfer somewhere to do a bachelor's degree, that's actually the best square on the entire heat map. But something I learned that I didn't expect was that the post-secondary non-degree award actually has a decent amount of opportunities as well. These would be things like certificates and diplomas. And this is especially useful for us because certificates and diplomas don't take as long to get. So if you're working with people who are incarcerated and you don't necessarily know or have a uniform amount of time that you'll be working with various people, a certificate or a diploma might actually be a great way to go. We can also stack those kinds of credentials on top of each other and embed them within a degree program. So that was a really great insight from this overall analysis. In addition to learning about incarcerated Kentuckians, I learned so much about data analysis, how to think about data, how to learn new skills and tools along the way. Every single day I was learning something new. One great example was preparing my data to be merged. When I wanted to merge the census data with the occupational outlook data, I was going to do it on a shared job code column, but I found that the job codes used by one source followed a different system than the other. Luckily, I found a crosswalk, but unfortunately that crosswalk was literally just thousands of rows. So if I wanted to make some sort of mapping dictionary, there is no way that I could type all of that in to change one value to another to make them match. So I learned several things just in these 2 lines of code that you can see. First, I created a data frame using the Excel sheet, which I did already know how to do. But for this, I learned that you can specify which sheet within a workbook you want to look at, as well as which row you want to begin, because this particular Excel sheet didn't start on row 1. So those were 2 things that I learned there. And then the big lesson from this experience was being able to use that data frame to create a mapping dictionary by using the zip function to say, hey, I want you to take this column and this column and literally just kind of zip them together like the teeth of a zipper so that we're changing one code to the other. And in addition to this particular problem, which was probably the trickiest thing that I did, I was learning new stuff every day, but mainly I learned how to guide my own learning and how to get the confidence to know that I could do that, so that in the future, when I'm working on other projects, when I face problems, I'll know how to solve them. I'm going to figure it out and learn what I need to learn. If you want to look more closely at my work, I have my GitHub and my Tableau linked here. And if you want to learn more about me, my contact info is there as well. So thank you for attending today and letting me talk to you about my project.
Excellent job, Ashley. So having a background primarily in English and education, what was the key inspiring factor that made you want to learn more about data analytics?
Okay, well, as I said before, I really shifted my work during the pandemic. So we all had extra time on our hands. And we were like baking bread and doing podcasts and stuff, which I did, all of those things. But I was also thinking about how I could use this extra time to expand my skills professionally. And I noticed that a lot of other colleges had grant directors. My college did not. And I asked, hey, could I do that? Because I had also read that a lot of people with English backgrounds get into grants. When I started working with grants, I learned that it was actually very data heavy, both pre and post award, lots of data. And I also learned that I liked it. I thought it was really interesting. Grants live within institutional effectiveness where I work. And so I had lots of other opportunities to say, hey, in addition to what I'm doing over here, could I maybe get in on that? Or can I do this or that or the other? And I just find it fascinating. I feel like an archaeologist with a little brush, and every day I'm just uncovering something new.